Alright guys, today we are going to be doing color blocking. I've already done all my prep work here. I'm going to be using some Mia Secret colors. This is from the Color Punch collection: Pina Colada, Martini Blue, and Raspberry, which is a nice pink. I'm also going to be using Angel Glow from the Glam Trap House. It's a glow-in-the-dark white. I really like it because it's a lot easier to work with than most whites, and it glows in the dark. So, first thing we're going to do is do a thin layer of clear over the whole nail, just for strength, because colored acrylic is really weak. Basically, you're just going to take a big bead of clear and kind of work it down the whole nail. Basically just capping it from the underside. Make sure you're watching your sides, because when we add that, and make sure that it's a really thin layer, because otherwise when you add these colors on top and then cap it again, it's going to be really bulky. So you want it to be nice and even and thin, and make sure it's even so your colors come out even as well. So just watch your sides to keep them from getting wide when that acrylic goes off, and that'll help you keep your shape. I'm using Scented Monitor from SM Nail Candy. Smells like fruit instead of awful, and it doesn't yellow, so that's nice. I'm going to take a big bead of the white. This is just the pattern I chose. You guys can do whatever works for you, and I'm just going to be working with a brush for this, not the X-Acto knife, so or the razor, so my pattern's going to be not quite as exact, I guess. I'm just going to take a big bead of white and basically do the nail bed for this pattern. Like I said, you can change the pattern any way you want. Make sure you got nice good coverage. Again, watching your sides, making sure that they stay nice and neat, and that'll help save you a lot of filing later. There we go. Now you want to make sure when you're pushing wherever you want your colors blocking to start, you're going to use your brush to make sure you have a nice clean line, almost like a wall. And just keep patting that into place as it dries, and it gives you a nice starting point for your color so that your lines are really clean, so that it doesn't blend into each other. You're going to kind of let that white dry a little, or whatever color, and just keep using your brush, running it along that wall to make sure it stays nice and high and gives you a nice edge. Because if it kind of fades into the nail, then your other colors aren't going to be as crisp. There we go. I went with more of a kind of wavy pattern here, so I'm going to take my Martini Blue and push it right up against there, right up against that wall of white that you have. Try to make sure that they're at the same height. And again, you're going to use your brush to make whatever shape you want. Keep patting so that the height stays the same. You're basically leveling that green or blue out. You're going to use the end of your brush to keep pushing, the same thing we did with the white. We're just going to keep pushing that up against the white and making that wall on the edge of the green. You can see where I kind of got a little, my white got away from me a little bit. Just push it up with your brush, because that's a lot drier than your first color, so you can make that adjustment still. There we go. Make sure you keep your eyes on your sides and that front edge. Just keep you running your brush along it, just to keep it nice and sharp as it dries. You can use the very tip, almost like a cuticle pusher, if you will. You can even use that for this once it's a little more dry. I'm just using the brush because that's what most people have on hand. So that's all I'm working with. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the X-Acto knife, though. All right, now that that green's somewhat dry, you don't want to add your next color until this is somewhat dry, otherwise they're going to end up bleeding together. See, I was missing a little bit of height on this martini blue here, so you can always go back and add more. But you definitely want to let it be, I'd say about 70% dry before you add your next color, otherwise you're going to get bleed and the lines aren't going to be as crisp once you're done. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the top, that way you don't have a bunch of wobbly bumps. Alright, we should be ready for our next color. Yeah, and you can also just take the tip of your brush and kind of push it right up underneath there, and that'll give you that nice, neat edge. You can see where I'm just pushing it underneath, just like this. There you go. And that'll give you that nice crisp edge. And it looks a mess now, but you guys know the rule. Trust the process. And this set's going to have like softer lines just because I didn't use the knife. I'm using only my brush because it is possible with just the brush. I'm going to take my next color. Now you want to push that right up against your other colors so there aren't any spaces or gaps in between. And as that dries, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to work it into the shape you want. I'm just kind of freestyling it. I really didn't have any plan here. Just pick the brightest colors I could find and smushed them all together. Same thing, use the very tip of your brush. You're going to use that like a spatula almost. And just make sure you're pushing it right up against everything and watching your sides, always. You also want to make sure between colors that you're cleaning your brush out really well in the monomer, otherwise you're going to have that bleeding from one color to the next, and you don't want to like pollute your next color, so make sure you clean it out really well. And Mia's Secret takes forever to dry, that's why this video is so long. It takes so much longer than anything else. Now as it dries, you're going to see these little wrinkly lines as you're pushing it, because as it starts to run down the nail while it's drying, you're going to keep pushing it back up, and the drier it gets, the more wrinkles you're going to have, so just pat those out. Because every mistake is fixable. It's not a mistake, it's a feature. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure the top is level. You just want to make sure that they're all at the same height and level. It'll save you a lot of filing. And I am going to file this before I cap it, just to make sure that everything's nice and even. Which I don't do all the time, but for color blocking I do like to file it before I cap it, just to make sure the lines are super sharp and even. And otherwise you get those weird ridges and you can kind of see it through the clear. This yellow has to be the most staining acrylic I have ever worked with in my life. It stained everything it touched, but it's so bright. I love it. It's super rich. And since these videos are aimed at beginners, I wanted to use Mia's Secret because that's what a lot of you are working with. But as far as that glow in the dark white, you should definitely check it out. And again, just keep watching your sides. Now you can go back and fill in any spots you may have missed, like I can see up near the cuticle I missed a little white. So I'm going to go back now and fix that. Nothing stopping you. Plus I tend to have problems with my apex, so I like to go back and build it up, because I almost never get it right the first time. It's almost always completely flat when I'm done, so I like to go back and just make sure that I have it exactly how I want it. God, these videos are coming out so long. But I want to make sure I'm not missing anything and letting you guys see everything that I do, because I think a lot of times on these videos you see them fix stuff off camera, and I don't like to do that. Like, see, I just poked my brush into my yellow that wasn't dry yet, so gotta fix that. But trust me, any mistakes that I make you will see, and you will see me fix it. I'm not doing that off camera. That doesn't help anybody. There we go. Now we'll let that one dry, and I'm going to show you just a different pattern here. This one's really, the pattern's up to you. Just freestyle it. Go with what you love. I am going to be using the white again. Oh, no, I forgot the clear. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to wipe it off and start again. Now, guys, this part is basically just me doing a different pattern. You can go ahead and skip ahead to the end for the filing or whatever. This part isn't necessary. I'm basically just recording my practice here and letting you guys see what I do and explaining how, what each thing is and what I'm doing. So feel free to go ahead and skip ahead. Again, we're going to do a nice thin layer of clear, pat it down. And I'm kind of a neat freak, and I don't like the paper towels when they have a lot of stuff on it. It drives me crazy, and I feel like I can't get my brush clean, so I like to flip it over and start fresh, because I hate wiping my brush on a dirty paper towel. It's just, ugh. Now we're going to start with the white, same as before. Go ahead and work that into whatever pattern you want. I think this one I did like a half and half. I think I went with like a nice straight edge near where the smile line would be, but not a smile line. Make sure you're watching that wall in the front. Make sure that edge is nice and crisp. Now I'm going to move on to the green and do like a just split right down the middle. Now, let's see where we are. Now we're just gonna, find the pattern here, whatever we want to do. I honestly don't know what I was doing. I think I was going for like waves and triangles and rainbows. I don't know. This ended up reminding me of like Miami. So weird. Now I went ahead and skipped ahead a little bit to filing. No point in making you guys watch another 10 minutes of me patting acrylic. You got the idea. Basically, we're just going to smooth it all out, make sure we have a nice even top, and that you want to get most of your side filing done now. That way you're not filing through the clear as well. No point in adding that clear if you know you're just going to file it off. So just get it nice and smooth, as even as you can, and then we're going to go ahead and cap it with the clear. I'm just using the regular sanding band because I don't want to move a ton of acrylic here. I just want it smooth. Just enough that you can see my lines without, moving a lot of it. But, you guys file however. Now I'm going to skip all my hand filing and all that because nobody really needs to watch all that. Just watch your sides and your corners, What I like to do now after I file before I cap it with clear, I like to wipe it down with acetone just to get rid of any residual dust and any grooves, and that won't show through the clear acrylic after we cap it. That's just a personal preference. Use like a lint-free wipe and just rub it down, and that way you don't get any contamination either. So now we're just going to cap it in clear. Basically the same as you did with that top layer, except you want to do it a little thicker because you are going to file this. So make sure you have enough to file without getting down to your colors. Just a nice big bead and work it all the way down. Make sure you're capping the sides and the tip and everything. Don't miss any, because if you do, that's going to make that part that much weaker. Now once you cap it, I'm not going to make you guys watch me file it all again, but once you cap it, you're going to do your cuticle care, your cuticle bit, your sanding band, hand file, whatever. I'm going to skip over that part because you guys have seen it, you know how to do it, there's no point, and we'll skip ahead to the end once I'm finished with this. Like I said, just make sure you get your sidewalls and your free edge capped with that because that colored acrylic is super weak. Not all colored acrylic, Mia Secret tends to be super weak. That stuff will just snap right in half, so you want to make sure you're using your clear. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my filing. This is after I've cleaned it up, filed, added the top coat, and cured it. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and if you have any requests, I'm open. Next up I'll be doing the V-cut. Bye!